one there. And that's not necessarily the right reason, but I think it's one of the reasons that I did marry.
Well, if you find someone who wants you there and you want them there, then...
Well, I think I've got that
happiness.
now. I'm very, very happy.
What about you, Jerry? Are you still on the lookout for another Mr. Right?
One Mr. Right would have been good. No. Yeah, I mean, I do think love is the most wonderful thing in the world. I haven't fallen in love enough to want to get married or anything like that. You know,
what are you looking for?
I like goodness and kindness. You know, I like people who are intelligent, I can have conversation with, and you know, keeping company is nice. I'm not especially thinking that I'd want to get married again. I mean, I don't know.
It would take a lot.
It would. You never know.
You did that program, what was it called, Kept, with young guys. It was on VH1.
You weren't planning to marry one of those guys, were you?
No, they were too young.
They were cuties, right?
Yeah. Well, the producers got the idea, they saw me in The Graduate, and they got the idea to do this kind of reality competition where 12 young guys came over, and I chose the best one, and he got to be kept for a year.
All right, but not by you.
No.
But the whole idea was a kind of Mrs. Robinson thing, where you were playing the older woman
It was fun,
who might get it on with the younger guy.
Yeah, I suppose,
Now, would you ever think of a younger man as a relationship partner?
I have gone out with some younger men, and, well, I don't want to be ageist or anything, but I don't really like their taste in music.
They're buying Stones records in bucket loads, you know that.
No, it's like Coldplay. It's like,
Oh, really? Now, you're both Americans, and yet you both have chosen not to live there much or spend too much time there, although you are going to Texas shortly, I believe.
I'm doing a movie after this play in Texas.
All right, and I know you're on the move to Paris, is it?
Yeah, I'm going to do a film as well in Paris.
All right. But you must keep an eye on what's going on at home.
Paris, Texas.
Paris, Texas. The political scene at home. I learned something about you, David. The last time we spoke on this show, I didn't know this, but you were actually involved in the Robert Kennedy campaign in '68.
Yeah. Actually, I was first involved with John Kennedy back in 1960 as a 17-year-old young Democrat, and we turned the state around from that had voted for years on the Republican side, and we turned the state around and won that campaign. And then I worked for Bobby Kennedy as well in 1968, and was there that fateful night, that awful night at the Ambassador Hotel when he was murdered.
God.
And the two men, I guess, who probably inspired me more than anyone has ever inspired me in terms of political sphere. And they provided a kind of leadership that I've never lost the kind of indelibility of their influence. And I think the guy who comes closest to it right now is Barack Obama.
Right, you think he has something of the magic of the Kennedys, the intellect of the Kennedys?
I don't think, I wouldn't compare him to the Kennedys so much, but what I would say is that his effect on young people today is not unlike, it's not unlike the effect that the Kennedys had on young people back then.
Well, Jerry, you were just a very young teenager when Bobby Kennedy was shot. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, of course. I mean, everybody remembers that. Yeah. Terrible.
And how do you...
But I'm voting for Hillary.
Okay. And why are you voting? Why are you voting for Hillary?
We're going down the wrong path now. We might not be getting along very well.
Yeah, I think bitches get things done.
Yeah.
That's called damning with faint praise. I think. Bitches get things done.
Well, they do. It's true.
I thought you were going to continue. I've had my share, but no. Let's move on. Neither of you, I suspect, have to be working as hard as you do. I mean, Jerry, you don't have to be traipsing around the world doing movies or plays or whatever. Why do you do it?
I've always enjoyed working, and to me, theater is like play. You know, it's fun, especially with this one. We're having fun.
You smoothed that one over, didn't you?
Yeah. I like acting. It's great fun, and
All
I'm
right.
thrilled. I get paid for it too.
Yeah, but you don't need the money, do you?
Well, money's
probably always welcome.
nice. You know, I was brought up with a work ethic. You know.
Yeah. There was something else I read about you that I wanted to ask, because the women looking at you say, God, Jerry looks fantastic. But there is maybe one thing about yourself that you would change if you could. What is that?
Well, I have a terrible time finding my shoe size.
What is your shoe size?
Oh, no, I'm not going to say. It's too big. It's,
Too big?
No, don't look at it.
They got a shot of it.
By
Oh,
putting
yeah.
your hand down, you gave them perspective. Now they know.
Dang. Yeah.
But that's the only thing you would
Yeah,
change.
it's really terrible. But I think it saves me a lot of money. They never fit me, the shoes. I'm always trying to find my size and never can.
Yeah. And when the sale comes, there's always your size left.
Yeah.
Or it's always, whatever. David, is there anything about yourself you would change?
No, nothing.
I wondered, by the way, the Starsky and Hutch remake. What did you think of that?
I didn't like it.
Why not?
You weren't in it.
Well, I was in it briefly.
Oh, sorry.
At the end, it wasn't really worth.
I didn't see it.
If you dropped,
I like the
if you dropped
original.
your keys, you know, and bent down and pick them up, you'd miss it. You know, that's how much we were in it. But I guess it was a tip of the hat.
A tip of the hat.
That was what it was.
An
you know.
homage, as they
But it
say.
really had no. It wasn't the relationship of Starsky and Hutch at all. They just played at it.
Do you still see your
Paul?
old partner, Paul Michael? Yeah?
Absolutely, he continues to be my closest best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you two are going to do something together, I believe.
Yeah, he's writing. Well, it's a screenplay that a dear friend of mine wrote and died in 2000. And actually, the interesting thing is the woman who found me, so to speak, and gave me my first contract at Columbia Pictures was his wife. And so she's going to produce it. Paul is now rewriting the script, bringing it up to date, and I'm going to play the lead character in it. So
And the character's an interesting guy. He's a bum, basically.
he's a bum in New York, and before he passes on, he has this dream to go back to where it all began, for childhood. And so he hitches his way down the East Coast, down to Florida, sort of like the picture of a salmon
Yeah.
swimming upstream, fighting the currents upstream to lay its eggs and then die. And it's a very touching, very really interesting piece. So I'm really happy to be
And
doing it
to
with
be
Paul.
working with the people that,
But
that you...
I don't want to get away from love letters too much.
All right. Well. By the way, speaking of it, you've got your autobiography coming out fairly soon, haven't you?
Well, I'm writing it at the moment, and I'm really enjoying writing it and finding it very cathartic experience. It's not coming out for about a year.
About a year. It'll go back to your childhood and your dad, with whom you did not particularly get on, and all that sort of stuff. So perhaps when it's out, you'll come back and
That would
tell
be
us all
lovely.
about it.
That would
In
be
the
lovely.
meantime, you two are going to have to get it on in the Tivoli.
Here we are, and the box office is open tonight until 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Well, people don't have much of a chance. It's only a couple of weeks, and they've got to see this unfolding. I'd like to see it sort of on the first night and on the last night, and see how the relationship
We would
gels.
too. In fact, you know, a lot of the things that we've been talking about
I get
on
tears
personal,
in my eyes. The
personally
ending.
tonight are things that are included in the play, including the politics of it we were talking about. It's all,
Okay.
it's really representative of relationship. You know, very important and special relationships. That's good. It's really
Well, guys, I know it's been a bit of a rush to get here, and you've got to get into rehearsals and all that, but appreciate you taking the time out. Jerry Hall and David Soul, thanks a million for being with us. Thank you.